Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I have got 10 book recommendations from enemies to lover trope. Now out of these 10, 6, 7 are like my absolute favorite. Like I reread them from time to time just to, rehash the memories because they're so good. And the rest is like I had to make a list of 10, so I included them. I'll, give a little blurb about them, what I think about them, and everything. So let's start. I have my diary here so that I have the list of 10 books, and I have my laptop here. So, I have the list and everything. So let's begin. Okay, now when people say enemies to lover trope, the first book that comes to my mind is The Hating Game by Sally Throne. It is an absolute favorite. I love this book, especially the climax. Oh, it's like chef's kiss. Now, I'll read the blurb for all of you so that you know if you have not heard about the book. If you have not heard about the book, you just know what it is. Lucy Houghton has always been certain that the nice girl can get the corner office. She's charming, accommodating, and pride herself on being loved by everyone at Bexley and Gammon. Everyone except for the coldly efficient, impeccable attired, physically intimidating Joshua Templeman. And the feeling is mutual. Trapped in a shared office together, 50 or 60 hours a week, they have become entrenched in an addictive, ridiculous, never ending game of one upmanship. There's a staring game, the mirror game, the HR game. Lucy can't let Joshua beat her at anything, especially when a huge new promotion goes up for the taking. If Lucy wins this game, she'll be Joshua's boss. If she loses, she'll resign. So why is she suddenly having steamy dreams about Joshua? And dressing for the week, for work, sorry, and dressing for work like she's got a hot date. After a perfectly innocent elevator ride ends with an earth-shattering kiss, Lucy starts to wonder whether she's got hots for Joshua Templeman. Maybe Lucy Houghton doesn't hate Joshua Templeman. And maybe he doesn't hate her either. Or maybe this is just another game. Now this book, this is an office romance. Joshua and Lucy are, I think one is an executive head or some like there are two heads at Bexley and Gammon, and they are like the next in position after both. There's a promotion coming, and one of them is going to get it, and one of them is going to get it, and there's a competition. Now Joshua has been a person who has been in love with her from first sight, but at that time he was already in another relationship. So it was either like being friends with her, which will make him regret because he was already in a relationship, or just completely like act as if he hates her. And he went for the second option. Now Lucy is someone, she's good to everybody. She cannot help but help others or be good to others. And Joshua kind of despises this about her because people take advantage of her. And this book is so witty. It is, like there's humor, there's really hot scenes, and then I just can't express what I feel about this book. This is actually this is the first book of this writer which I read, and it is just like when you reach the end of the book, you realize that, oh my god, Joshua, like he is the one. I think I would want those characteristics in my partner. It's just, what can I say? Sometimes you feel so much for the books and you just do not have words to express yourself. Okay, so Lucy and Josh, they both work in different companies which merged together, and since then, they've become sort of enemies because Joshua cannot like her, and because he cannot like her, she thinks that he hates her, so they become ultimately enemies. Now one day, Lucy gets sick, and Joshua actually takes care of her, which actually shows kind of how much he cares about her and all that. It's really sweet. Then they go for one paintball session, which is like super cute. And the at the end, like because he took care of her, she had to repay, so there was a wedding. of Joshua's brother, where Joshua's brother was getting married to his ex. I mean, Joshua's ex. So he needed someone at his side, and it was Lucy. And by the end of the trip, they realized that they're in love with each. I mean, Josh always knew. Lucy realizes, and I mean, Josh is so good at reading Lucy, even without her telling him, he just knew it. And like the last couple chapters will blow your mind. You need to read this book. It's one of those books. So I think enough about this book, because I can ramble non-stop about this book, which will make no sense at the end of the day. So moving on to the second book, which is The An Honeymooners. It's by Christina Lauren. Now, she also writes amazing books. If you have, I've read a lot of her books, like The Beautiful Bastard or something like. There's a beautiful series which I've read of hers. Then there is The An Honeymooners, Twice in a Blue Moon. Then there's one is Roomies or Room something Room, and then there's one is Josh and something. I forgot her name. It's been really long since when I read those books. Now, this is again another, enemies to lover. I'll just read out the blurb. Olive is always unlucky in her career, in love, in, well, everything. Her identical twin Amy, on the other hand, is probably the luckiest person in the world. Her meet cute with her fiance is something out of a romantic comedy, and she's managed to finance her entire wedding by winning a series of internet contests. Worst of all, she's forcing Olive to spend the day with her sworn enemy Ethan, who just happens to be the best man. Olive braces herself to go through 24 hours of wedding hell before she can return to her comfortable, unlucky life. But when the entire wedding party gets food poisoning from eating bad shellfish, the only people who aren't affected are Olive and Ethan. And now there's an all-expensive paid honeymoon in Hawaii up for the grabs. Putting their mutual hatred aside for the sake of a free vacation, Olive and Ethan head for the paradise, determined to avoid each other at all costs. But when Olive runs into her future boss, a little white lie she tells is suddenly at risk to becoming a whole lot bigger. She and Ethan now have to pretend to be a loving newlywed, and her luck seems to be worse than ever. But the weirdest thing is that she doesn't mind playing pretend. In fact, she kind of feels lucky. Okay, let me tell you what this is about. Now, there are two sisters, Amy and Olive. Amy is like the lucky one. She wins everything, and Olive is like she's unlucky one. And if you read the book, you'll see like all the events of unluck she's gone through, we can say. And she absolute at the beginning there were when Ethan and Olive met for the first time, they were like maybe something can happen, but then things happened that they both started hating each other. Now Olive and Ethan's brother, Olive's sister Amy and Ethan's brother Dane are going to get married. So he's the best man, she's the bridesmaid. They have to tolerate each other. At the wedding, there's seafood counter, but he is he is allergic, and he doesn't eat out of a buffet, and she is allergic. So they both are the only ones who do not eat, and the rest of them are, they get infected because of the bad shellfish. And there's a honeymoon which is booked in the name of Amy. Now they're both twins, so she can always go, no one will know. So they both go there. Olive meets her to-be boss, and she just lies. And Ethan also, meets her ex there, who is married or about to be married. So, they both pretend, and then things happen, and they come happy from the trip. But then when they come back, things take a turn. They both are happy with each other, but Olive suspects something about Dane, who is Amy's, new husband. And obviously Ethan takes sides of her brother. And eventually Olive is right. So Ethan comes back to her. She does not give him a chance in the beginning, but at the end she gives him a chance. It's a really cute book, I'll say. And Olive, it's not just an enemy to lover, but it's also like how much Olive has changed as a person, how she started trusting herself. It's really a good book, not just in terms of, like romance and everything, but it's a really, really like how a person should trust in themselves, their judgment, and at the end of the day, luck is not a factor. This book makes you believe that. So it's like funny, sweet, a little heartbreaking at times, and a great read, definitely. And when you will read this book, you will be reminded of the Hating Game. So I'll tell first read Hating Game and then read this. They're not connected in any way, but like their biking is so funny, and they're like, it's just a really good book. You see Ethan being a jerk to him being all cute and caring, and the plot was really unpredictable, but it's like good. It's fun, and at the end everything just played out really good. So I like it. And there they went for the honeymoon to Maui, and it was so dreamy just reading it that I wish I can go someday. Oh man, I'm sweating like hell. The AC is not working for some reason, and I cannot switch on the fan because it'll make noise. So, all the pain for you guys. The next book that I have in this series is my absolute favorite. It is Wishes by L.J. Shen. Now, L.J. Shen is a perfect bad boy, good girl, enemies to hate writer. Wishes is like, it's a, in every sense, enemies to lover, I'll say. In every sense. I'll read the blurb and then go into the talks. Emilia. They say love and hate are the same feeling, experienced under different circumstances. And it's true. The man who comes to me in my dreams also haunts me in my nightmare. He's a brilliant lawyer, a skilled criminal, a beautiful liar, a bully, a savior, a monster, and a lover. 10 years ago, he made me run away from the small town where we lived. Now he came for me in New York, and he isn't leaving until he takes me with him. Wishes. She is a starving artist, pretty and evasive like cherry blossom. 10 years ago, she barged into my life unannounced and turned everything upside down. She paid the price. Emilia LeBlanc is completely off limits, my best friend's ex girlfriend, the woman who knows my darkest secret, and the daughter of a cheap help we hire to take care of our estate. That should deter me from chasing her, but it doesn't. So she hates me, big fucking deal. She better get used to me. I love the attitude of Wishes. Now, obviously, when I think about it in real life, a boy like that, he has got no place. But when we read about it, I mean, if in real life a boy gives me so much of attitude and drama, stay away. But when I read about it, I feel like, oh, he is the one for me. It's like that kind of thing. It's a dark romance, so a warning or whatever you kind of call it. And now Wishes has had a very difficult past. He's super rich and all that, but like, his mother died and his father and stepmother left him to, fend for himself. And he just had a difficult time growing up. He busied himself in partying and all that. And one of the times when he was like, like there was a secret kind of a thing which I will not reveal. Obviously, I'm not giving the spoilers, but that was the time when Emilia caught him. And when Emilia initially moved in, the guest house with her family, because her family was the help, he was attracted to her, but then his best friend dated her, and then he was attracted, so he kind of, pushed her, bullied her. That was his way of just treating her, I guess. And now 10 years have passed, and he makes an offer which she cannot refuse. And what that offer is and all that, I will not say because it'll just spoil the book. But it's definitely a worth reading book. It has a great narration, the characters are super well planned, like really well built up. The plot is super good, and it's a really you can categorize it under the enemies to lover, but also like bad boy, good girl category. And you need to read this book. You will not regret it. It's on me. Read it. I'll put the link of all the books in the description. If you want to check out, you can any day. Now, the fourth book that we have in the series is again my favorite, which is Billy by Penelope Douglas. Now, she writes masterpieces, man. She is just, in fact, the whole series, Bully, Until You, Rival, Falling Away, these all are enemies to books. I've just included one of them. You can check out the others. I'll read the blurb. Now, it's also a high school romance. They were kind of best friends, then enemies, then lovers. So I'll just read the blurb. My name is Tate. He doesn't call me that though. He would never refer to me so informally, if he referred to me at all. No, he barely even speaks to me. But he still won't leave me alone. We were best friends once, and then he turned on me and made it his mission to ruin my life. I've been humiliated, shut out, and gossiped about all through high school. His pranks and rumors got more sadistic as time wore on, and I made myself sick trying to stay out of his way. I even went to France for a year just to avoid him. But I'm done hiding from him now, and there's no way in hell I'll allow him to ruin my senior year. He might not have changed, but I have. It's time to fight back. I'm not going to let him bully me anymore. Okay, now Jared lived in a house and Tate moved there when she was 5, and they've been best friend until he was like, I think 13 if I'm not wrong. And there were events which happened which, there was a misconception because of which Jared started hating Tate, and he made everything worst for her. But then she went for a year to Paris, France, and when she came off, she was much stronger, brave, a different person, and she just, fight back. And with time, like, they have so much of spark between them. It's like when I read these books, I'm like, your standards increase of having a boyfriend or like a partner. You expect so much from them, and you don't find them in real life. They're all book boyfriends for a reason. Now, they have been for each other since a lot. Like when she was grieving her mother's death, he was there beside her. And Jared has had a really fucked up upbringing. Her mother was an alcoholic, her father was never there in the picture, he was in the prison or something. So it was like Tate was her only happy place. And Tate also shared a very comfortable corner with her, but then things messed up. And Tate had no idea what wrong she had done, that she was being treated like that. And then the only explanation he gave was like, you're being too clingy. So that was like, she didn't understand like what is the reasons and reason and everything. And there is there's a quote, like she said, I'm quoting it from the book. You've already made me cry countless times. I raised my middle finger to him slowly and asked him, do you know what this is? I took my middle finger and patted the corner of my eye with it. It's me, wiping away the last tear you'll ever get. It's like, she's badass now and she's got all that attitude and she knows how to just handle him. Eventually, the old friendship comes back and they go through a lot of more incidents in the entire book, and they again fall off in the at the end because of a certain video leak, if you know video what I'm talking about. And I just love how maturely Tate's father handled everything. That was like really good. And that's it. I mean, this is a good book. You need to read it if you're into bad boy, good girl, enemies to lover, high school romance. It checks off a lot of boxes, so you need to read that. The next book that you have in the list is Angry God, which is again by L.J. Shen. Now, this is actually the spin off series. So, he is the son of Vicious and Emilia. So, I had to read this book, and it is, I mean, the writer can just write. That's all I can say about this book. It is so good, and I listened the audiobook, and the female character has an English accent, and I just have it for the accents. I just love it. I'll read a little the blurb. Vaughn Spencer. I mean, like Vaughn. What a name! I love the name. They call him an angry god. To me, he's nothing but a heartless prince. His parents rule this town, its police, every citizen, and boutique on the main street. All I own is a nice, juicy grudge against him for what? For the time he almost killed me. Between hooking up with different girl every weekend, breaking hearts, noses, and rules, one also finds time to bully the little old me. I fight back, tooth and nail, never expecting him to chase me across the ocean after we graduate high school. But here he is, living with me in a dark looming castle on the outskirts of London. A fellow intern, a prodigal sculptor, a bloody genius. They say this place is haunted, and it is. Carlisle Castle hides two of the most awful secrets. One thinks he can kill the ghost of his past, but what he doesn't know, it's my heart he's slaying. Now, there are a lot of secrets to him, which only he and at some time his father knows him because he's vicious, man. And Lenora finds out about it. Now, Juan has got the gift of her mother. Emilia was an artist, and he is too. And he is an exact replica of his dad from what his like the book from the book you read, and he's like no bullshit but business. In short, you can say, and he's like he's a hot man. Everyone wants at these the high school and everything. And after high school, Lenora moves to London for a project, like for an internship, some art thing. And he also goes there, and he gets the main thing, and she gets to be an intern, which pisses her off because the institute belongs to her dad. So it was like he should have given the opportunity to her instead of some other person, but whatever. They meet both each other at wrong circumstances, and there is a lot of emotional baggage in this book. Van has had a past which kind of is the reason why he acts the way he is in the present, and his father finds out about it, and there's a chapter from Vish's point of view, which is obviously my favorite. I just love that portion, and like Wishes is Wishes, you just love him. If you have read the book, comment in the section that do you really love Wishes, or it's just me. Now there is also some crime scene type of a portion in the book, so it's kind of an all in one. And I loved the book. I mean, definitely Wishes is more better, but like this one is good. The next book which we have in the series is The Sweet Simple Wild. Now it's a different book from Wishes and Angry Bird, I'm saying Angry God and all that. It is sweet. It has a lot of emotional scenes, so be prepared with a box of tissues because I was a crying mess at the end. Now, this is obviously also enemies to lover, obviously. I'll read the blurb so to get the gist of what the book is. Carla Fletcher wasn't even two when her mother took her and fled the Alaskan wild, unable to handle the isolation of the extreme rural lifestyle, leaving behind Carla's father, Ren Fletcher, in the progress. Carla never looked back, and at 26, a busy life in Toronto is all she knows. But when Carla learns about Ren's days may be numbered, she knows that it's time to make the long trip back to remote frontier town where she was born. She braves the roaming wildlife, the odd daylight hours, the exorbitant prices, and even the occasional dear God outhouse. All for the chance to connect with her father, a man who, despite his many faults, she can't help but care for. While she struggles to adjust to his rugged environment, Jonah, the unkept, obnoxious, and proud Alaskan pilot who helps keep her father charter plane company operational, can't imagine calling anywhere else home. And he clearly is waiting with one hand on the throttle to fly the city girl back to where she belongs, convinced that she is too pampered to handle the wild. Jonah is probably right, but Kala is determined to prove him wrong. Soon she finds herself forming an unexpected bond with the burly pilot, and his undercut of disapproval dwindles. It's replaced by friendship or perhaps something deeper. But Kala is not in Alaska to stay, and Jonah will never leave. It would be foolish for her to kindle a romance to take the same path her parents tried and failed at years ago. It's a simple truth that turns out to be not so simple at all. Really sweet, I will say. Now, Kala was born in Alaska, but when she was two, her mother was from a city life, and she decided she could not live in Alaska. But her father was like a pilot there, and he had his whole life there. So she took her daughter and moved to Toronto, where she got married again after some years and all that. Kala is now 26, living in Toronto, and life is good until things starts to fall apart. And that's when she gets to know that her father is also unwell and his days are numbered. So she decides to take a trip to Alaska to meet him, and they have not met each other since years. Now, Kala is a typical city girl, and she cannot imagine herself living in Alaska. She's heard a lot of stories about uh, Alaska from her mother, and she knows she cannot adjust there. Now, Ren, his father owns airline, so when she goes to meet, Jonah is the one who comes to pick up, and he's arrogant, alpha male, but like not over the top kind of a person. And all around, you can say he's a good guy. He takes care of things, and he is a good guy. And Kala and Jonah are like two very different characters, and it's like they are most unlikely to be a pair, and it's like the opposite attracts, just like it's perfect for them. And she knows that there's a quote which says, it can't lead anywhere, so what's the point? I'm going back to Toronto where I belong, and he's staying here in Alaska where he belongs. His father dies in the book, which is super, super emotional. But you see how Kala changes throughout the book. From being just this, showy, fashy girl, she there's a real inner good side to her which you see in the book, and you see her go through a lot. And Simon was a really good character. He was her stepfather, and he was like a therapist, so what he said makes sense, like a therapist would say that. And it was like really like eye opening kind of thing, and it's not just like a book about romance, it's so much more. It's a story about family ties, growth, and learning who you are and discovering what life really is all about, your priorities and everything. It's really like educational book, like not educational, but if you know what I mean. Now this video is already too long, so I'm just going to mention the other four books which are in the list, and I'll put the blurb on the screen so you can read it. Just pause the video and then read it then. Now the other books in the series are The Divine King by Rena Kent. It's not one of my favorite, but I love the plot of the book. Like there's so much going on, and it really takes a mind to think all of those stuff. And then there is Bound by Hatred, which is by Cora Riley, which is like it's like my favorite series. Not my favorite book, but of the series, but a favorite definitely series. I've already made videos on Cora Riley books, so if you want to check out, you can. And the last one which I have in the series is, okay, I have two more. One is Brutal Prince, which is by Sophia Lark, which is in the Mafia series, where they are like set to have an arranged marriage, but like the girl is not the usual Mafia princess, the tame, the sweet one. She talks back and she's savage. So it was different but really good. And then you have After Series. How can I leave that? After Series, I read it like a long time ago, like years back, when it was like recently released from the on Wattpad, and I loved it then. And like Harden goes through a journey, and I have loved the whole series, and I thought to include that one also. So I hope you like this video. Thank you so much if you are still watching. I hope you like these kind of videos, and put in the comment section what kind of videos you like to watch so I can put that content for all of you. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Peace out.